3 in the morning, a completely deserted road. My car wrecked against a pole, and then 2 men appeared out of nowhere, knowing my name, driving a company car that I later discovered had never existed. If you believe God sends angels to protect us in our darkest moments, then you need to hear what happened to me on a freezing winter night. My name is Anderson. I've been an industrial engineer for 15 years, and at that time, I was supervising the night shift at a large equipment factory nearly 50 miles from home. It was a heavy responsibility. I coordinated the entire night production, but it paid well, and with Ivy, pregnant with our first child, I needed every extra penny. The road I drove every day was a secondary route cutting through small towns and farms in rural Missouri. During the day, it was quiet, but at 3 in the morning, you wouldn't see a soul for miles. That specific night, it was a Friday in December, I remember perfectly. I was especially tired. I had stayed 2 extra hours solving a production issue that came up at the end of the shift. As the responsible engineer, I couldn't just leave it for the next day. It was lightly snowing, that kind of fine snow that sticks to the windshield and forces you to use the wipers every few seconds. What I didn't know was that in less than an hour, my life would be saved in a way that still gives me chills to this day. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell because this channel is dedicated to stories about faith, purpose, and kindness, different from those same old stories out there. I was about 12 miles from home when it happened. The radio played softly, an old gospel song that always calmed me after a long night of work. My eyelids were heavy, but I knew that road like the back of my hand. Then, a dark figure crossed the road in front of me. It looked like a large animal. It was something different, tall. I can't really describe it. It moved strangely, and it all happened so fast. Instinctively, I turned the wheel to the left. The car skidded on the wet snow, spun once, and the right side slammed directly into a light pole. The crash was deafening, metal twisting, glass shattering, the hiss of steam escaping from the radiator. For a few seconds, everything was absolutely silent, the kind of silence that only exists in the middle of the night when the whole world seems to stop and watch you. My head was pounding. I tasted blood in my mouth. My hands shook so badly I could barely unbuckle my seatbelt. When I finally managed to get out of the car, I saw the damage. The right fender was completely crushed, the headlight shattered, and steam rose from the hood like a ghostly cloud in the yellow light of the pole. I grabbed my phone. No signal. Of course. I looked both ways down the road. Total darkness. The nearest house was at least 2 miles away. With that cutting cold and the snow beginning to fall harder, I knew I was in serious trouble. It was in that moment of complete despair that I saw, in the side mirror that was still intact, 2 headlights approaching in the distance. The car that came closer was white, completely white, with paint so perfect it reflected the pole's light like a mirror. When it stopped behind my car, I could see a logo on the door. Something about security, but I couldn't read it clearly in the dark. 2 men got out. The first was tall, maybe in his 40s with gray at his temples. He wore a simple dark blue uniform, but perfectly pressed. The second was younger, maybe early 30s, darker skinned, with a calm presence that immediately reassured me. But here's the part that still leaves me speechless. The taller man called me by name before I even introduced myself. "Anderson," he said, approaching with a strong flashlight. "Are you hurt?" I froze, confused. How did he know my name? Maybe he had seen my wallet in the car. But no, it was in the back pocket of my pants. I'm fine, I think," I replied, still dizzy. "But how did you—" "Don't worry about that now," the younger one interrupted with a gentle smile. "Let's take a look at this car."
The two of them inspected the vehicle with impressive efficiency. They tested the engine, which miraculously still worked, checked the tires, adjusted the crushed fender. In less than 10 minutes, they said the car was safe to drive, but suggested I shouldn't make the trip alone in my condition. "You're in shock," the older one said. "We know a mechanic who can take a proper look tomorrow. For now, how about we take you home?" Normally, I would never accept a ride from strangers, but there was something about them, a peace, a security that radiated naturally. It was as if I'd known them for years. "What kind of work do you guys do?" I asked as we walked to the white car. "Security," the younger one answered simply. "We look after people in emergencies." The inside of the car was spotless. New car smell, clean leather seats, a dashboard without a scratch. But once I got in, I noticed something strange. There was no radio playing, but there was also not that heavy silence you expect in a stopped car. It was as if a very soft music was playing somewhere I couldn't pinpoint. During the 20-minute ride to my house, we talked about trivial things, my work as an engineer, the baby on the way, the weather. They seemed genuinely interested, asking specific questions about things I didn't remember mentioning. The older one knew Ivy had morning sickness. The younger one asked if the baby's room was ready. How could they know that? But the ride flowed so naturally that I only realized how odd it was once we were arriving. When we got to my house, Ivy ran to the door in pajamas and robe, her 7-month belly obvious. She had woken up to the sound of the strange car pulling in. "Anderson, what happened?" she asked, hugging me in relief. The two men got out of the car and politely introduced themselves. They explained about the accident, assured me I was fine, and suggested I see a doctor the next day, just as a precaution. "Your husband had guardian angel tonight," the older one said, with a smile that seemed to carry a deeper meaning. Ivy was visibly moved by their kindness. She offered them coffee, insisted they come in and warm up, but they politely declined. "We just wanted to make sure he got home safely," the younger one said. "Now he's where he needs to be." They exchanged a few more words with Ivy about pregnancy care, things they seemed to know intimately. Then they simply wished us good night and said goodbye. As the white car silently drove down the street, Ivy turned to me. "What kind of men? Where did you say they were from again?" That's when I realized I hadn't gotten any contact information. No card, no phone, nothing. 3 days passed. The car had been repaired by a local mechanic. The damage was less than I had imagined, but something bothered me. I needed to thank those men. They had saved my night, maybe even my life. I called security companies, described the car, the uniforms, but no one knew anything like it. One attendant even said, "Buddy, I've been in this business 15 years, never seen anything like that." That's when the reality started to take shape in my mind, like an impossible puzzle piecing itself together. That night, I sat with Ivy in our small kitchen and told her everything. The impossibility of finding those men, the empty lot, the no record of their company. Ivy stayed silent for a long time, hands resting on her belly. "Anderson," she finally said, "do you remember what that man told you? That you had a guardian angel?" "I remember." "What if it wasn't a figure of speech? What if it meant it literally?" I thought about the impossible coincidences, them knowing my name, details of our life, appearing exactly when I needed them most on a completely deserted road, the unexplainable peace I felt by their side. "You think they were—" "I believe God protected you that night," she said, her voice calm and certain, "and He used angels to do it." That was 2 years ago. Our son was born healthy 3 months later. I'm still working as an engineer at the same factory, driving the same road every night. But I've changed, not just because I believe God sent angels to save me that night, though I do, but because I understood something profound about how He cares for us when we need it most. Sometimes, when I pass by the place of the accident, I look at the pole and whisper a prayer of gratitude. Not for the mysterious men I never saw again, but for a God who never abandons us, not even in our loneliest nights. And you? Have you ever experienced something like this? Something so unexplainable that it could only have been God at work in your life? Share it in the comments. I would love to hear your story. And if this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to know they are never truly alone. In the next episode, you'll hear the extraordinary story of a woman who was completely alone on a bus late at night when something supernatural happened. An experience where she heard the voice of God in a way that changed her life forever. Thank you for listening. God bless you.